Good morning everyone. My name is Kinchin T. Kuma and I am one of your reporter for today's video. For today's lesson, we'll tackling about Chapter 2, Metacognition, Thinking About Thinking. Lesson 2, Metacognition, Regulation and Control. But before we will start our lesson, let's read and analyze our objectives. At the end of the lesson, students will be able to explain the meaning of metacognition regulation, determine your dominant approach in learning and studying, and lastly, analyze the relationship among the three metacognition processes, which are planning, monitoring, and evaluating. In the previous lesson, we discussed about metacognition. Metacognition is described the processes involved when learners plan, monitor, and evaluate and make changes to their behavior or their own behavior. Metacognition is considered to have two dimensions, which are metacognition knowledge and metacognition regulation. So, what is metacognitive knowledge? Metacognitive knowledge is also known as metacognitive awareness. It is what individuals know about themselves and others as cognitive processor. This includes the learner's knowledge about their own cognitive abilities, the learner's knowledge about their own particular task, the learner's knowledge about the different strategies that are appropriate to this task. For example, I am not good in English. So I have the knowledge that I am not good in English. I am aware of what are my particular tasks. I am aware of what will I do to improve my speaking in English. So that is an example of a cognitive knowledge. You are aware. Did you get it? Okay, then let's proceed to metacognition regulation. Metacognition regulation, it refers to what learners do about learning. It is described how learners monitor and control their cognitive process. For example, after the exam, Joy realized that her study techniques is ineffective. So she decided to try new strategy or try new study plan in order to make her grades improve. Or in other words, metacognition regulation, it is what we will do in order to achieve our goal or how we can control our thinking to facilitate our learning. Metacognition has three phases. These are the planning, monitoring, and evaluating. During this phase, the learners think about their learning goal that the teacher has set and consider how they will approach the task and which strategies they will use. For example, Rita joined the Girl Scout of the Philippines and one of her tasks is to develop a program to assist malnourished children. After learning her duties, she began to plan and wonder what will she pursue. At each stage in the learning cycle, there are key questions that you will ask yourself to support your learning process. For example, in planning, the key question in planning is what I am being asked to do, what strategies will I use, and there any strategies that I have used before that it is might helpful. After the learner questions themselves about the key question, it will help them or guide them to set a goal or setting the objectives. Okay, let's proceed in monitoring. During this phase, learners implement their plan and monitor the progress they are making towards their learning goal. For example, the students might decide to make changes to the strategies they are using if they are not ineffective or not working. As a student who work through this task, it will help them to do this task by asking themselves the question or the key question. which are in monitoring, the key question is the strategies that I am using is working? Do I need to try something different? For example, Rita is aware of the feeding program procedure since she has a previous experience with it. Rita checks the progress from meta memory to see whether it is sufficient and ready to be run. Rita monitors her ideas throughout the process and then revises the method found ineffective in constructing a feeding program. Monitoring can assist Rita to determine what modification she will make in order to her strategy to be successful. And now, let's proceed to the last phases of metacognition, which is the evaluating. During these phases, students determine how successful the strategy they went. Was it helping to achieve her goal or their learning goal? To promote evaluation, students could consider or ask themselves about the key question, which are the how well did I do? What could I do different next time? What went well? And lastly, what other types of problem can use this strategy for? For example, last week, Tubi studied to pass the entrance exam to apply for a scholarship. Now, the student thinking about the outcome of his exam and why he did not pass despite for his hard work. If the answers are incorrect, the student deduces what went wrong. And this ends the 3 phases of metacognition.
Everyone, good morning. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Natalia M. Conte from BSL Filipino 2P. For today's discussion, I will expand on what Ms. Coma discussed in previous topic about Lesson 2, Metacognitive Regulation and Control. But first, let's go back to the lesson and see if you remember what Ms. Coma talked about with you. So, what is metacognition and metacognitive regulation discussed by Ms. Coma? Yes, in simple terms, metacognition is understanding your own thinking and learning processes. In other words, it is thinking about thinking, used to maximize learning outcomes to help students to meet their goals. Thinking is not just about the but what of learning, but how metacognition help us see which strategies need to be occur and what we need to do differently in order to be successful. Let us now discuss about metacognitive regulation. So, what is metacognitive regulation? Okay, it is the second element of metacognition. Metacognitive regulation involves 3 processes: planning your learning, monitoring whether your learning strategies are successful, and evaluating is result of your learning. Now, let's proceed to the theories about planning, monitoring, and evaluating. So, what is planning? According to Shra 2002, planning involves the selections of appropriate strategies and the allocations of resources that affect performance. Goals are dichotomized as mastery goals and performance goals. So, in this process, during the planning phase, learners can ask, what am I supposed to learn? What prior knowledge will help me with this task? What should I do first? How much time do I have to complete this? And in what directions do I want my thinking to take me? So that is for the planning. In monitoring, again, according to Shra 2002, monitoring refers to one's ongoing awareness of comprehension and task performance, referred to as metacognitive monitoring and controlling learning. It also involves the monitoring of a person's thinking processes and the current state of knowledge. So, in this process, during the monitoring phase, learners can ask, how am I doing? Am I on the right track? How should I proceed? What information is important to remember? In monitoring, you are constantly tracking what you have learned, what you don't yet know, and whether your study strategies are helping you to learn effectively. Lastly, evaluating. According to SHRA 2002, evaluating is assessing knowledge or learning. It refers to appraising the products and efficiency of one's learning. It involves the person's ability to evaluate how well the strategies are used to lead to the solutions of the problems or completions of the task. It tells whether or not the procedure resulted to the correct answer or a different answer. So, during the evaluation phase, learners can also ask, how well did I do? What did I learn? Did I get the result I expected? Can I apply this way of thinking to other problems or solutions? Is there anything I don't understand? Any gaps in my knowledge? Do I need to go back through the text to fill in any gaps in understanding? How might I apply this line of thinking to other problems? And also, evaluations. In other words, it involves reflections on how will you meet your learning objectives after a unit of study or receiving a feedback.